Welcome back to an unconventional approach to financial self-reliance. In this session, we're going to be talking about credit card debt, and particularly a credit card roll down and how to optimize it. Now, the conventional approach to addressing credit card debt is that we make the payments, and specifically that we make the payments on the due date. And I'm going to show you in the unconventional approach that that's not necessarily the best thing to do. We're going to talk specifically about optimizing a roll down. A roll down is also known as cascading, also snowball. Sometimes people call it roll up, but these all really mean the same thing. And what that is, in terms of all debt, not just credit card debt, is that you take a particular debt, you make your payments on that one until it's paid off, and then you take those payments and apply them towards the next debt in the roll-up process or the roll-down process, and then the next one and the next one, and thereby you're accumulating momentum in the amount of the payment as you go through. Now, before I go into some of the specifics here, I want to make a note that all credit card companies are a little bit different. They have many of the same general terms, but some of them are a little different. And so you want to consult with your paperwork, your contract, and verify that the principles that we're going to teach here all apply in your case. Some do, some don't. All right, the first principle for optimizing a roll down is timing. Most people, as we said in the conventional approach, use the due date as their focal point. Well, the due date is the best date for you to make your payment if you're the credit card company. But for the owner of the card, for the consumer, the best date to make your credit card payment is on the cycle date or as close to the cycle date as you can get. The cycle date will be the date that your cycle ends and that the statement is produced. If you go online, you can find that immediately. If not, you have to wait until your statement arrives. But once you know when it is, then you can time your payment to be made as close to that cycle date as possible. The next principle we're going to talk about is reallocation. Now, in reallocation, we're talking about taking a number of debts. In this case, we're going to use an example with three: a Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, just to identify them. And we're going to assume that each of them has a $100 payment, and just for the sake of this presentation. And we're also going to assume that we're not going to add any new debt to these cards. Now, based on this, and we're going to just assume that each of them has a $100 payment, so the total is $300. We're going to dedicate $300 to this process, okay? So in the first month, we make a payment of $100 on each one of them, and that thereby will lower the payment for the following month. Now, many people have never had this experience, but if you do not add debt and you make a payment, it will lower your balance and thereby lower your payment amount. Now, for the sake of argument, we're going to say that it lowers the payment by $5 on each of those. The reallocation says that we're going to take that $5 from the Visa card and the $5 from the American Express, and we're going to reallocate them toward the MasterCard. Now, you see that the total is still $300, but we're paying the minimum on two and the rest of it on a third one. And that brings us to the next principle, which is the idea of sequencing. In other words, what order should we place these credit cards in order to come up with the optimal effect? The answer to that question is not as easy as it may sound. Most people would respond to that it should be the one with the highest interest rate. But the fact of the matter is that the highest interest rate is not necessarily the one that you want to attack first. The one that you want to attack is a combination. It's actually an algorithm that takes into consideration the interest rate, the balance amount, and then the ratio of the payment to the balance. Now, credit card payments are calculated based on the percentage, some percentage of the balance, and that's maybe a little oversimplifying, but that's basically what that means. And so what will create the optimal effect is to use this algorithm, which is contained in our Hope software, but this algorithm will put them in the proper order. Now, it's possible, therefore, for a credit card to have a small monthly payment, and even though the interest rate is lower, you could actually pay more interest over the long haul on that card than you would with one that has a higher interest rate. So it's not necessarily the one with the highest interest rate. Now, with these three ideas implemented at the same time, we're going to find that the savings, we're going to optimize this roll down using these principles, and that the savings is significant. Now, we took 500 customers, asked them to tell us how they thought that they should pay off their debt in this roll down process, and then we did the calculations and determined their payoff date and the amount of interest they'd pay, and then we used our algorithms to do this in the proper way through an optimization. The difference was staggering. On average, it was $23,000 saved in interest and 23 years shorter using this optimization method. Well, if you'd like to know more about this or some of our other unconventional strategies for financial self-reliance, we're providing the contact information below so that you can get a hold of us, and we'd be happy to help you with more information.